And as a matter of fact, sometimes you end up creating habit that become part of the new problem that you have. You are so constrained to those habits that you are a slave to them. And again, it's not bad to be a slave to getting up every single day at 5 a.m. and getting into the gym at 6 if you're productive and working hard. And I know a lot of people that that's extremely helpful for. But it's got to be deeper than that. You really have to be able to get to a place where you are doing the things you're doing because that's who you are.
Welcome to Authentic Conversations with Ryan James Miller. Join Ryan as he speaks with top business leaders and influencers and hear how they've mastered the art of authenticity to achieve all that they dreamed of. As you hear from these leaders, seek not only to be inspired by their authenticity, but to strive for and master your own.
What up, and welcome to another episode of Authentic Conversations. So we are 3 parts into a 9-part series on my Foundations to Freedom pillars. 2 weeks ago, or 2 episodes ago, better stated, talked about foundations, laying the foundations, purpose, principles, and passion. Then last one in this series, we talked about, or I shared about, the importance of both clarifying and prioritizing roles. Now today I'm going to jump right into talking about creating rhythms of life that not only support the roles we're living in, but reflect the best version of the person that we want to become. Super duper important as we think about continuing to pursue this life of freedom, this life of complete fulfillment and joy. So when I think of rhythms of life, or when I talk rhythms of life, that really wraps up habit and discipline. These are things that are talked about so often. There have been wonderful books written, some as of just very, very recently on this topic. Guys like James Clear wrote Atomic Habits, one of the best books on habits. So really, you could probably just close up shop right now, go get that book and read it. If you have read it, you should probably reread it because James's principles in there are so good, so simple, so straightforward that it'll really knock it out of the park when it comes to creating habits for yourself. I'm going to talk a little bit about it as well and use even some of the things that I learned in reading Atomic Habits 3 times. I actually listened to it twice, or read it twice and listened to it once, but 3 times I consumed that book. I'll probably do it again here soon. But it wasn't just James that wrote a great book on habits. As a matter of fact, I believe the best book that's ever been written on habits, ever, you've probably heard me say this before, is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. No better book on laying out the importance of creating the right habits for yourself and what those are. From even 7 Habits, he wrote another book, Stephen Covey did, called First Things First. Wonderful, phenomenal book on prioritizing our habits to ensure that we are keeping the main thing, that we are focusing on the important things in life and not the urgent things in life. So again, there have been tons and tons of books and blogs and videos done and written about habits and disciplines. Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink. Very simple book to read, but so profound in a lot of the statements that Jocko wrote. I almost forgot to mention that book, but because it was so simple, but so great. So anyway, by the way, as a matter of fact, if you are listening to this point and you reach out to me through any one of my social platforms, you text me 714-202-9402. If you find a way to get a hold of me, the first person to request one of those 4 books that I just mentioned, I'm going to give 1 copy of each of those books, hard copy or Audible if it's available, and that's what you prefer. So the first person that requests each one of those 4 books, if 2 people request 7 Habits, only the first person's going to get it. So if you're listening, reach out to me, maybe push pause and just text me or something right now and do that, or hit me up on social. Anyway, let me move on. So what I want to do is talk a little bit philosophically about habits and then help you kind of lay out a good rhythm for your own life, especially in light of you articulating your foundation that we talked about again in the first episode of this series, and then in light of your roles and priority to those roles. So that's what I'm going to talk about. But what I want to address first, before we dig right into that, is I think something that is creating a huge challenge for people as it relates to habit and discipline, lifestyle, living a life, performance, and things like that. Too many people think that doing the right things, so having the right rhythms of life, creating the right habits and disciplines, so many people think that that is the art of willpower. They think that that's just about putting my head down, grinding it out, focusing really hard, and if I force myself enough, I'll produce the things that I need to do, and I will discard all the trash that's inside of me. And I would love to agree with you. I would love to agree with you because I loved books like Grit by Angela Duckworth, and she talks so much about that. Books like Mindset by Carol Dweck, and just the wonderful ways in which she talks about mindset and how powerful that is, and putting that to the test. The problem is that it's more than just willpower in order to get something done. When I was younger, probably 15 years ago, actually it dated back way earlier than that, but I smoked cigarettes for about 15 years. Nah, maybe not that long, maybe 12 years. On and off, I smoked more or less, sometimes as much as a pack and a half a day. Sometimes it was less than that. Finally, one day, I was 28 years old, so gosh, that's a long time ago, 15 years. I decided I wanted to quit. And I just decided to do it. I didn't tell anybody that I was going to quit, not even my wife at the time. I just wanted to see if I could put my mind to it and do it. And so with one cigarette left in my final pack of cigarettes, I didn't want to wait until I finished them all or until Monday came or whatever. I left one final cigarette in that pack of cigarettes. Camel Turkish Gold is what I was smoking at the time. Sounds kind of funny. Anyway, and so I left that one cigarette in that pack. I left that in my truck, and I think it was there for 6 months. And it was to prove to myself that my mind could will me into no longer smoking. And so from that, just like many of the experiences I had, I thought because I had tested it out myself that that was in fact the truth. And maybe in many ways it was. Maybe, in that season of my life, it was willpower that helped me to not succumb to grabbing that last cigarette, buying another pack, whatever. But there was something more there. There was something deeper there. At that stage of my life, at 28, I had just come to faith. So life was changing for me. I was trying to really reform who I was as a husband, as a father. I was just trying to get my life back on track overall. That would actually begin the next season of my fitness journey that had been abandoned in high school. And so while it may have been willpower that got me started, what really kept me going was a deep, burning desire to be different. Not necessarily to not be a smoker, but just to be different, to do something different, to be better than I had been before, to walk away from, in many ways, the life I had been living up to that point, and to become the man that I wanted to be. And I didn't even know a fraction of what that really meant, and definitely not a fraction even of what I know today. So for you, as you think about creating the right habits and disciplines, you're going to need more than willpower. You're going to need more than just, I really want it bad. It has to connect. If you're going to create habit and discipline, they're going to have to connect deeply to who you are and what you want. And at the same time, Discarding bad habits is far more about turning away from the person that you don't want to be. You have to deeply believe in your heart that you don't want to be that person. That is going to help set the tone in a far better manner for you to create the right rhythms in life. So how do you do that? Well, you don't do that by just looking at the fact that, everybody gets up at 5 a.m. and so you have to get up at 5 a.m. You don't do that by, just having a scheduled meditation time in the middle of the day because every high performer has a meditation time. You don't do that. You don't read 60 books a year because readers are leaders or leaders are readers or whatever that is. Like, those things may be true. I used to be a 5 a.m. guy and in the gym by 6, and I've changed that rhythm of life, and I feel like I'm more productive now than I was 2 years ago, and I'm typically getting up at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm still going to the gym every single day. I'm still getting into work on time every single day. I'm still delivering for my clients every single day. I'm healthier than I've ever been, physically and emotionally. I have better spiritual rhythms of life than I've had in a long time. My family life is far better than it was. And I'm getting up 2 hours, an hour and a half or 2 hours later than I used to. So it's not doing things just because everybody else says those are the things that need to be done. It's far more about, again, connecting who you are to ultimately what you want in life. Since I started, I'm not going to be able to stop, I don't think, quoting Stephen Covey. I do it all the time anyway. But, one of Covey's other 7 habits is to begin with the end in mind. When I think about people that create habits and disciplines, often they're not thinking about where they're actually going. They don't think about who they want to become. They're just thinking about being something that they're not. And that could be for good reason, right? They want to change who they are, and so they need to create new habit and discipline. And that's fine. That can work for a period of time. But if you don't have a destination, if you don't have a clear sense of what the end looks like, the end of a season, the end of a decade, the end of your life, you're going to have a hard time sustaining those positive habits and disciplines. And as a matter of fact, sometimes you end up creating habits that become part of the new problem that you have. You are so constrained to those habits that you are a slave to them. And again, it's not bad to be a slave to getting up every single day at 5 a.m. and getting into the gym at 6 if you're productive and working hard. And I know a lot of people that's extremely helpful for. But it's got to be deeper than that. You really have to be able to get to a place where you are doing the things you're doing because that's who you are. I am a healthy person, therefore I don't shove crap into my mouth day in and day out, and I don't consume alcohol on a regular basis, and I work out 6 days a week, and I'm mindful of these things. I am a follower of Jesus, therefore I go to church every single Sunday, or 99% of the Sundays in the year. I regularly read my Bible on a daily basis. I regularly pray. I am a husband to my wife, Michelle. Therefore, I am regularly devoted to complimenting her, to investing into her, to telling her that I love her, to taking her on dates, to making sure she knows that she is my world. I'm not doing those things because I have to. I'm doing those things because I desire to, because that's who I want to be and who I am. So, you may be thinking to yourself, well, who am I? So my recommendation to you, if you're listening to this and you don't have the answer to that question, is to go back to the podcast episode I did, I think it's 3 or 4 episodes ago, called From Unknown to Known, and answer those questions again first. Who are you? What's your purpose? What are your passions? What are your non-negotiable principles in life? From there, then go to the next episode that I talked about prioritizing roles, laying out your roles and prioritizing them. Again, you want to make sure that you are reflecting the best version of whatever roles you have listed there. It's far more important to answer those questions than it is to simply start creating positive habits and disciplines. Because if you know who you are, it's going to be far easier to eliminate things that don't reflect the best version of you, and far easier to add in or incorporate habits and disciplines that do reflect the best version of you. But if you don't know who you are, you're going to have a hard time answering those questions. So, 2 simple practices. If you've answered those questions, if you've answered the foundations questions, the foundation of who you are, and then you have worked on the roles section, would be this. 2 simple questions that I'm going to ask of you to consider as you think about habits and disciplines in your life. So, super simple. This is not going to create a whole new set of habits and disciplines for you. Go read Atomic Habits, go read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, read First Things First, right? Like there's a lot in those books that are going to help you expand upon this principle. I just want to give you something simple that you can take from this right now. And let me look at my time. We're 15 minutes in, so I'm going to close here in the next 2 to 3 minutes. So that said, question number 1 for you. If you've listened to this point, you're thinking about creating rhythms of life that support the best version of you. First question that I would love for you to answer is, what is one habit that you wish you could or would do more of? That's it. What's one thing that you wish you could do more of? Working out? Keeping your email inbox below 20? That's one of mine, by the way. Being in the gym a certain number of days a week. Going out on a date with your spouse in some time domain or regularly. Investing more time into your kids, reading, praying, meditating. What is it? What is one thing that you can do on a more regular basis? What is one thing that you would want to do on a more regular basis? One habit, one thing, focus on that first. And the second question is, what's one habit that you wish you could do less of? That you would like to do less of? Less time on your phone, less time on Netflix, less time wasting time sitting around and doing nothing, less time procrastinating, less time at work, which could then become more time at home. What is it? James Clear spells this out pretty well in Atomic Habits, but oftentimes when you remove a bad habit, you can replace it with a good habit pretty quickly. So that removal of a bad habit is a really good exercise in then helping you to go back and add more of the things you would like to do. So again, those are super duper simple questions to help you just get started in this idea of habit. But again, if you don't have that set of beliefs, if you don't have that foundation of who you are, as well as a picture of where you want to go, you're going to really struggle to create good, sustainable habits. Look at, in all of this, I hope that you've heard me say that habits can be a huge problem for you, but they can also be a wonderful solution for you. But it's about choosing the right habits, right? The ones that burn deep inside of you, the ones that fulfill your deepest desires, the ones that will help you get to your greatest dreams. There are So many factors that work into this idea. But I would say, for now, keep it simple. Continue to work through this series with me. I hope you'll continue to be patient in listening to each one of these episodes. Go back and listen to the other ones. Be ready. Next week, we're going to be talking about something in the realm of self-reflection and emotional intelligence. So that's going to be fun working into that next. So as always, I can't tell you how much I appreciate each one of you that listens. I would love to hear more feedback from you. Based upon the number of people listening and the downloads that I see, it seems pretty consistent. And so if I've never heard from you, I would love to hear from you. If you've been listening for a while, I would just love to hear what you think of the content, I would love to hear what you think of the guests that I've had. I'm making a big shift in guests here in the next few months. I'm really excited to share that as it comes to be, again, over the next couple of weeks. But I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear feedback. I would love to connect with you more. I'd love to learn more about you. So please feel free to reach out to me. Again, through any social media channel, you know where to find me there. You can text 714-202-9402, and I'd be happy to jump into a conversation with you. If you have never texted that number before, you are going to get an immediate auto response just confirming that you want to get into text conversation. But after that, there's no more automated messages. Everything is me. So if there's anything I can do to help you, again, just to learn more about you, please reach out. I would love, love, love nothing more than to hear from you on a more consistent basis. So with that, as always, be you, be happy, be authentic. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Authentic Conversations with Ryan James Miller. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and share it with others. To connect with Ryan and learn more, visit ryanjamesmiller.com.